Hi everyone, so the A-level Pure Maths Paper 1 is finally over, and judging by the reactions of students, this may be one of the toughest Paper 1s we've seen in a few years. This paper was found a little bit challenging by most students, and having gone through the paper myself, I can definitely understand why. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you thought in the paper. A lot of the methods weren't necessarily difficult, but because many of the questions were presented in unfamiliar ways, there was a lot of awkward numbers, messy calculations, and unusual answers that made students doubt their answers. The first 4 questions were actually fair and gave students a chance to maximize their marks on them. However, the difficulty level increased quite a lot. And there was a few tricky questions, for example, the radians question, which involved 2 triangles within a semicircle. This looked quite difficult, but actually, very interestingly, this question has appeared in a couple of examples in the EdExcel Pure Maths textbook. So for students who have looked through the textbooks and are familiar with the textbook examples, you would have recognized how to approach this question. The paper also had an integration by parts question, a tricky modulus question, and a proof by contradiction question, which involved Pythagoras' theorem. In that proof, students had to show that C couldn't be even, and you could have approached it by representing A and B as odd numbers algebraically, expanding those expressions, and then using that to show that there is a contradiction and therefore C cannot be odd. Another tricky question was the differential equation question, and the question which involved trigonometric expressions within a geometric sequence. One thing that really stood out to me was that there was very few show that questions in this paper. Normally, these questions provide a stepping stone for students so that even if they can't do the first part of the question, they're able to proceed with the other parts of the question. However, because there were not many show that questions, this meant that students could not carry on with the question if they got stuck in the earlier part. Overall, I would say that this wasn't an impossible paper, but I definitely think it was a harder paper 1 than what we've seen in recent years. And if you found this paper challenging, don't panic. Remember that we still have paper 2 and paper 3 to come. There are still plenty of marks that you can collect in these remaining papers, so stay focused, keep revising. If you found it easy, well done. If you found it difficult, don't worry, you still have paper 2 and paper 3. So get some rest this weekend, recharge, and then focus on paper 2 and paper 3 next week.